Behind me is the Jos Correctional Center where the attack happened yesterday. And the incident was that there were so many gunshots and people were running helter-skelter. And it was believed that so many people escaped from the prison. Some prisoners were released, as a matter of fact. That's the reports we got. And it was also said that some of the government were trapped inside the prison. However, Trust TV came here to ascertain all that has happened, and what we gathered is that the issue is under control, that is being investigated, and no serious reason has been given or serious things have been let out for us to know the situation of things. But people are not willing to talk. Even the officials are not willing to say anything. But however, the deputy governor was here this morning. He came as well to ascertain what has happened. He has refused to say anything. So all of this is still enshrouded in some kind of confusion. The police barracks is nearby and the DSS is just behind there. And with that, an attack can happen in such an environment. There are so many questions than answers. Things are still unfolding, and as it unfolds, we'll still give to the public what is going on.
After some 2 hours, and all we had to do was to cordon off the place. First, to ensure that miscreants do not take advantage of the situation to loot shops, and secondly, to ensure that other casualties are not recorded. That is why we are here, and that's what we are doing now, is to ensure that normalcy returns to this area. The fire services from both the state and federal have been up and doing. They have been able to put off the fire, while efforts are on to transload the remaining petrol still inside the tanker to another tanker. Now we have two. Apparently those two casualties were inside the shop, one of the shops that got burnt. Maybe they did not get the alarm on time, And the bodies have been evacuated now. They have been taken to the mortuary, while investigation into the cause and all other things is still ongoing.
We received the emergency call at around 8 o'clock this morning, and we were told that a tanker fell. So immediately I deployed my men to the scene of the fire. Unfortunately, the hoodlum did not allow us to perform our duty. So they attacked our vehicle. The vehicle has already been damaged. All my men has been brutalized. As I'm talking to you, they are nowhere to be found because they have to, look for alternative road to escape their life.
If that road is actually okay, the tanker will not fall down. And we have a government. All our government, we are using a fine vehicle. Everything they need, they always get it through the masses. What are we benefit on the government? No light, no water, no good road. If the road is actually okay, the tanker will not fall down. All what happen will not happen. We want the state government and the federal government to come and assist us.
Katsina State, which is having its share of banditry and kidnappings, is currently coping with survivors of the attacks who sustained various degrees of injuries from gunshots. Besides rendering them homeless, the survivors lost all they have, with majority of them resorting to begging on the streets of major towns and cities across the state. The chairman Network for Justice in Katsina State, Alhaji Abdullahi Hassan, described the situation as pathetic.
We have been monitoring the activities. In fact, initially, when this banditry starts to get out of hand, we were recording all the incidences. When I say incidences, is whenever we hear of a report of banditry attack, we try to reach our people who are there to give us a record of maybe the items that have been rustled, like the cows, the sheep, goats, and other things. And we also take a record of people that might have been killed, men and women, as well as women that might have been raped, and all these kind of things.
When Trust Television visited Federal Medical Center Katsina, it spotted some survivors of the attacks on admission receiving medical attention. Among them is this 7-year-old Ahmad Noura, whose father was shot dead, and Muawiyah Gorju from Matazu local government, as well as a 25-year-old Yunus Abdullahi from Yangaya village, and Ahmad Rufai Mununu, a 55-year-old from Batsari and Faskari local governments. While trying to evacuate our farm produce, the bandits came in large number with guns shooting sporadically. I was shot with a gun. My father was killed by bandits. The bandits came to our village and started shooting in the air. We all ran for our dear lives and left our shops opened. Some minutes later, we came out thinking that the bandits have left. Unknown to us, they started shooting again. One of the bullets hit me on the leg. As at the time of compiling this report, 32 survivors with gunshots were receiving treatment, while 6 were discharged from the hospital. However, with the intervention of Katsina State government, The survivors had their medical bills settled to cushion their hardships.
We are coping with them because many of them, they don't have money when they come. Number one, they don't even have money to eat, not to talk of to put inside the wallet. Yes, here.
Alaji Bishuri Haya is in charge of billing unit, Federal Medical Center, Katsina.
At the end of our discussion, we come to understand that the state government is ready to help and take care of the medical bills of those victims that were admitted in this hospital. So at the end of the day, they raised the 2 million naira cash and asked to start with in order to take care of the medical bills of those victims that were here on admission.
Responding to criticisms that the survivors of the bandits' attacks at the FMC Katsina were left unattended to, the medical director, Dr. Suleiman Bello Muhammad, has this to say.
As has been mandated by the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Health, we do not reject patients, and we use the resources at hand available to us to provide service and whatever is needed to make sure that we minimize morbidity and ensure that death do not happen and reduce the suffering of these patients.
One miracle people of the 11 frontline local government areas are anxious to see is when they will sleep with their 2 eyes closed as various stakeholders continue to join hands together to achieve the set objective. From Katsina, Abdullahi Ismayamadi reporting for Trust Television News.
Get latest updates on current topical issues and breaking news by downloading the Trust TV mobile app on your Android devices. Go online, click Google Play Store, search Trust TV, install the app, and get doses of unfiltered information on happenings all over the world in your pocket. Trust TV, documenting the Nigerian story.
The struggle for human rights in Nigeria have been a long one, arduous and continues till this day. Since 1999, and compares them to the constitutional guarantees and international human rights standards. The research divides human rights violation into 4 categories: unlawful detention, torture, extrajudicial killings, freedom of assembly, and freedom of expression, and the press.
Well, first and foremost, there has been a gradual closing of civic spaces and a constriction of civil liberties in the country, including restrictions on media freedom and independence. Secondly, we have seen, despite the best efforts of the election management authorities, a continued assault on electoral integrity in the country, and therefore the struggle to make votes count and to make votes to matter remains a live one, which we are dealing with. Thirdly, has been a significant social and developmental deficit in our experience of democratization so far. A lot of emphasis has been placed on the mechanics and forms of democratic governance, but without underpinning any of them with an agenda of citizen empowerment in a way that can be pursued through social policy of a universal kind, or indeed a broader developmental agenda of the kind that can generate employment and income for the teeming army of the youth who are unemployed, but also the working poor who are driven deeper into poverty and misery on a day-to-day basis.
There were also recommendations from the Center for Democracy and Development.
The best antidote at every point in time is more democracy, till democracy itself become very, very developed and firmly rooted in this country. 22 years is enough time for Nigerians to start feeling the real dividend of democracy, and the political class will have to make a choice to redefine democracy in light of what is happening in our own neighboring West African countries.
Thank you very much. The Democracy Watch report that was compiled and launched by the Center for Democracy and Development is an opportunity for reflection on how Nigeria will be in the next 20 years in terms of good governance and how we can achieve it. Martia Umar, Trust TV News, Abuja.
With a combined capacity to produce about 600,000 barrels of crude oil per day, Nigeria's 4 refineries are now maribound, with the exception of the Warri refinery, which operates at less than 30% installed capacity. Ironically, as the 6th largest producer of crude oil in the world, Nigeria is also the net importer of refined petroleum products.
We cannot continue to keep quiet when public taxpayers' money are simply being wasted or even stolen in the name of, repairing refineries. Well, at the same time, you are now privatizing these refineries.
The nation's oil company, the NNPC, saddled with the responsibility of managing the refineries, says within 5 years, it has expended over ₦1 trillion for the rehabilitation of pipelines and refineries in the country.
If you are spending this much and you are, privatizing these refineries, are you not shortchanging the country? Because the people that are going to buy this, after we have spent that huge amount of money, they would have just taken something almost free.
Renovating the refineries that don't produce anything. I mean, not just, like you said, not just Kaduna or the Port Harcourt. I think all the 3 refineries are not in produce now. They don't produce 1 drop.
Rehabilitation of Warri Refinery alone is costing the oil-rich nation $1.5 billion. Yet, the country spent 1.8 trillion naira this year to sustain a controversial oil subsidy regime.
Because it doesn't add up, and it shows that government is really not serious. If you are replacing 1.8 trillion with 2.4 trillion, it doesn't show that people are thinking in government.
Before even talking about the money, who are the people that are going to benefit from this? It's a question that we need to ask ourselves. We don't have a central data pool that says these are the amount or these are the number of Nigerians.
The Petroleum Industry Act (PIA), currently activated, is expected to bring to bear sustainable reforms in the oil and gas sector while guaranteeing transparency and efficiency. Shafiu Suleiman, Trust TV News, Abuja.
With the rising cost of essential commodities and other items across Nigeria, consumers tend to look for cheaper items in order to be able to afford them, such as food, furniture, electronics, and other such items for everyday use. And in Kebbi State, Kalgo Market, which is referred to as Dubai Market, suits the description where people can buy much with little money. The Dubai Market in Kalgo is a melting pot where people can buy state-of-the-art electronics such as players, television sets, mobile phones, beds, mattresses, bicycles at a cheaper rate than other conventional markets. Every item you see in Kalgo come in 2 categories, tested and no testing. The tested are items in good working conditions that can be utilized after sales. But the no testing are items a buyer purchases at his or her peril with a 50-50 chance of working or not. This is the only market in Kebbi State where customers can buy a laptop computer for as little as 5,000 naira, while mobile phones can be purchased as from 2,500 naira upwards. And Kalgo, being a university town with students coming from all over the country to study at the Federal University Birnin Kebbi, it has more or less become a haven for students trying to strike a fast deal, particularly in mobile phones, laptops, or food items.
I see Kalgo Market as a place where it is meant for the poor. You buy things at a convenient price. For example, when you have like 300 or 400 naira, you can prepare food. You buy tomato, 50 naira, atarugu, and the like of others. Then secondly, looking at the electronic appliances, people in Kalgo used to come with second-hand things and sell, as well as clothes. So things are more cheaper, and people, looking at the economic situation of Nigeria in general, you prefer buying second-hand things because they are more reliable.
Price of some food items, other items are low, very high. If you buy something from Kalgo Market and compare it from what you have bought from the Kebbi Central Market, you see difference in price.
The Kalgo Market also attracts other young men and women who normally come to buy second-hand designer clothing, which in other markets could cost them a fortune, but in Kalgo would be a pushover. The attraction to visit Kalgo Market is not limited to students or other young people alone, as the market attracts housewives and other category of people. The hustle and bustle at the Kalgo Dubai Market has earned it a reputation and a name that every customer identifies with, getting the best deal for so little money. Hamza Galadi Mazuru, Trust TV News from Kebbi State, Nigeria.